I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism.
Here we go.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 104 of the Parenting Autism podcast. This episode is a continuation of our vacation episode, and we'll try to pick up where we left off, right, Sandy?
We will. So
Yep.
we'll recap quickly.
Yep.
The last episode we talked about Bryce's flights on the Southwest airline. We talked about our visit to Maryland, Fort McHenry, and where else do we go? Jamestown and Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. So now we have left Washington, D.C. We promised you a story of a smelly cab, but that will be in Philadelphia. So we left D.C. and we took a back road through Delaware to New Jersey, which was a nice leisurely drive.
It was a leisurely drive.
And I'm glad we took a back road because when we entered Delaware, there was actually a sign, a welcome to Delaware sign. I did not know that that's where President Joe Biden was born, but I learned that when I read the sign. And then Bryce wanted to get out and run under the sign into Delaware and then back into our vehicle that was still on the Maryland side. So it was really cute because he's so about visiting every state now. And he had asked you, well, do I have to touch the ground for it to count? Mm-hmm. So he really wanted his feet to touch the ground in Delaware because we didn't have a place, planned to stop there.
Yeah, we told him driving counted, but flying over a state did not.
Right. But he really wanted to touch the ground. So he did. It was really cute. We videoed that and took our pictures, and then we got back in the vehicle and we kept on moving toward New Jersey. So we really didn't do much that night. We got to our hotel. Bryce did his next hotel tour, and we stayed at a Best Western there. So it was nice. They had the coffee maker there as well. Is that the one where you tried all the coffees and it didn't taste good, or was that the last one?
Not exactly sure, but did you upload his hotel tours to YouTube?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anybody is interested in his hotel tours,
or if your children are interested
the
in his
Parenting
hotel
Autism
tours.
YouTube channel, it's on there.
Yeah, he's got quite a few.
Yeah.
So we did that. It was nice because we just kind of had like a night to chill. And then the next day was a busy one because we started at the USS New Jersey, which is a retired battleship that they've kind of made into I guess like a museum because you can go through and see everything. And we didn't know how long it would take. We were there 2 hours, I want to say.
2 hours the first time, I think.
Yeah. And then we had scheduled an appointment for Bryce to have an elevator tour. He is all about elevators. And our friend works for Otis Elevator, and she said she could get him like behind the scenes and at where she worked at the office, but he was really about seeing the elevator themselves. And so anyway, so at the battleship, I'm going to let you talk about some of that because that's more manly, but there was a lot of stuff there. I do know this, that almost toward the end of the green line, which was the first line you're supposed to travel across. They had 4 different paths. So we went on the first one. We got to the bottom there and they had said that there might be a tour of the engine room. And we saw this guy like talking to somebody else, and he had just started the tour. So he saw us and said, would you like to join the tour? And we're like, sure. So,
and we didn't know at the time, but that was an extra charge, I think.
I think it was, and they just let us go. I mean, because everything was blocked off, like don't enter here, but we got to go behind the scenes.
And there wasn't many people
well.
there, so it was really nice.
It was not crowded at all. So Bryce really, really loved going in the engine room. I think you did too. But it was neat, like seeing how everything works underneath. And of course, then we were under sea level, and that intrigued Bryce.
Well, let me start off by saying that when we got on the ship, they were doing work on the ship. There was an elevator going up to the top deck, which was nice. So Bryce loves elevators. We took the elevator up to the top. lo and behold, there's banging and grinding and all these noises, which I thought might throw Bryce because we just got there. But I think he had his headphones on.
Yeah, we traveled with the headphones.
Yeah, and he was, curious, but it didn't really bother him, which was great. And then, so we started the tour on the top deck near one of the big guns. And I think what you were talking about, that special extra tour that we took, it was actually, we got to go underneath one of the gun turrets. And in there, they had the big 16-inch shells that the gun fired. And he told us, he talked really fast. And It was hard for us to keep up with what he was saying. But he did take us in there.
That's
and
right.
he also took us to the engine room, later on.
Right.
And then he explained to us on how all the boilers work. But underneath the gun turret, he showed us where the bags of powder were stored.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
How they loaded the shells into the gun, and they went around like this circle conveyor belt thing. But that was really cool.
Bryce found that all really interesting too.
Yeah, it kept his attention for sure. As much as like we did 2 hours and then we had to come back.
Yeah, right? He wanted to come back and do more. We're like, okay.
Yeah. So like there was one, I forget what room they call it, but maybe it's the fire control room where they do all the firing of the guns and the missiles and everything off of the ship. And it looked like something out of a Top Gun movie with all the blue lights. And then they had the glass boards there where they were write down the coordinates of targets or whatever it was. But that was totally neat. And, of course, Bryce was asking the volunteer there, I think they're volunteers, where the fire button was for the missile and asked if he could press it.
Yeah.
And so that was a highlight for him. And they had like a simulated radar going on so you could see the thing going around.
That's what I was thinking about.
And it was really impressive. I was impressed. It was much more than I ever anticipated,
and I didn't know what to expect either.
Yeah, because on a lot of those types of museums, they don't have all the electronics working and people at different stations to help you and tell you about things. And
it felt interactive in some ways at some of the spots. And Bryce had his camera with him, so he took quite a few pictures there as well. And I will say that he asked me to create a video of the pictures that he took on our vacation. And so I uploaded that to his YouTube channel, and it's got our vacation through the eyes of Bryce. He didn't have his camera at every location because we couldn't take it in the White House and we couldn't take it in the Capitol building. And I didn't have him take his camera to the Eagles Walk. But you'll see it, and to me, it's so interesting seeing what Bryce takes pictures of compared to like what my eye goes to. A lot of buttons. Then he was like taking pictures of old telephones and stuff that they had. And I thought, well, you know what? He probably doesn't even really know what those are, right?
Yeah.
And of course the elevators and all of those pictures. But it's really cool in my mind to see like this is what he's looking at and what he's thinking about, and there's some really interesting pictures in there. So anyway, if anybody, again, wants to check that out, I'll give Bryce a little plug because he always looks to see how many views he has and if there's any comments. Yeah. So if any of you want to make his day, you can go into his YouTube videos and leave him a comment and he will be thrilled.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was good. And again, we came back and I think we spent another hour. We stayed there till they closed. Actually, we shut it down. So we spent several hours there, and
there was just a lot
enjoyable.
to see.
What I was going to mention was they had it where you could pay $50 donation.
Yeah.
And
certain times they will let you shoot one of the guns.
Yes.
It wasn't the big 16-inch, obviously, but it was maybe like a 5-inch gun.
It's still loud.
It was very loud. I heard it that day.
You heard
you
it
guys went in the submarine.
Yeah, you heard it over in
Across
Philadelphia.
the river. Yeah.
So we didn't think Bryce could handle that. Not that I wanted to donate, but that would have been way too loud for him.
I don't think they were doing it on the day that we were there.
I'm just saying, because we could have gone back, and I was like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But that was cool. So I would say, if y'all are in that area and your children like that, or you're interested in that, it was definitely worth the few dollars that it cost us to go in. It was not bad at all. So that was the Battleship. Now let's go to his elevator tour, and again, a shout out to Miss Brittany who made this happen.
She was great.
Oh my goodness. It was so great. She got him an Otis t-shirt. It says, we move people. It's really cute. So he's got his Otis t-shirt.
I love that shirt.
We changed him into his shirt. She got him gloves. She got him safety glasses. I mean, she went all out, and they're Otis safety glasses.
Yeah.
And so we met her at the office. And so that's where the people work. And we met the manager there, and he gave Bryce a book about the founder of Otis Elevators and his family. And then we went in the back, and that's where the forklift was, and really just the parts. And then he's kind of like, where's the elevator? Where's the elevator? Where's the elevator? She goes, do you want to see the elevator? Yes. Okay. So
he was anxious.
So we drove to a commercial building where they serviced an elevator, and she knew that this particular building did not have a lot of tenants at the time. And so there would be little activity. So she had one of the mechanics meet us there, Mr. Mike. And so we went all the way up to the roof and saw the machines and all the
elevator
electronics.
Room.
The elevator room. So you could see how they controlled everything up there, and all the buttons and the machines and all of that. So he got a tour of that, and then, which he loved. And then we actually went over to the elevator. He did something to where the elevator went down a little bit, and then he stopped it. And then he was working on the buttons and showing Bryce. I don't know. So again, once again, the YouTube channel, but I did put the video this week of him getting that part of the tour with the actual elevator, because I thought that was really cool. And I thought if any of our listeners or their children like elevators, it's a really cool behind the scenes
I'm sure there's
video.
one or two.
I'm sure there's one or two. And we know for sure his best friend Michael wanted to see it. So I plugged it up for Michael as well. And
we learned a lot about elevators.
We really did.
So this was a brand new elevator they had just recently installed in this building.
Yeah.
And it was a great place because, the building wasn't very, there wasn't very many people there. And then, so they were able to show us like some of the old parts to the old system that was there. And it was like, I don't know, you picture this room with this giant computer, and that's kind of like it was switches, manual switches, electrical switches, and all these things. And then the new system, it's like in the size of a suitcase, and it's all electronic, and you just push buttons, and so it was really amazing to see the difference between the old and the new, and how the old moved the elevator and the new moved the elevator.
Yeah.
So
it was educational for us as much as it was for Bryce.
And then we went, he brought the elevator up halfway up a floor, and so we could look.
That's what I was trying to describe.
He lowered the elevator halfway down. So we or almost all the way down to the next floor, and then he opened up the doors, and then we could see the top of the elevator inside the elevator shaft. And
and then there were two elevators side by side, so we could see one coming up and going down through the shaft.
Yep. And so he described how they work on the elevators on the top of the elevator, and that was really interesting. And Bryce was just amazed. And then we went inside the elevator, and then he told Bryce, or Brittany, I guess, told Bryce what all the buttons were for and what the key was for and all that. And it was just, I mean, you could have, that could be a total homeschool tour, right? They could develop a homeschool tour out of what we did, and it would just be a hit. It was amazing.
Yeah. It really was.
Yeah.
An exceptional, nice bonus surprise to our vacation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then at the end, he got the surprise gifts.
So she had, so she had an elevator button for him, and
a real one.
Yeah. And so he got it. And he looked at it and he goes, oh, now I'm going to have to get an elevator for my house.
Yes.
And he was totally serious.
To put the button in.
the button in. He's like, this is a real elevator button? Yes. Okay, so I need to get an elevator for my house.
Yes.
And then she gave him another gold elevator with the button with the key.
Yeah.
And Bryce's favorite color is gold, so he was thrilled to have both of those.
Yeah.
And again, so then he wanted to, like at our next hotel, he took his elevator button to see if it matched up to the elevator button that was at the next hotel. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't think it will, but we can try. And he wanted to know if his key would open that one. It was really
great.
So cute.
We heard a lot of clicking that day. Click, click,
yeah,
click,
it clicks.
He was playing with that all day.
And I think one of the cutest things was we brought home a goodie bag for Michael that we had gathered stuff from the Philadelphia Eagles walk, and then the elevator button. She had an extra one. So I said, if you have one extra, his best friend also loves elevators.
Yeah.
So we gave Michael his bag, and then he opened that up and he goes, this is an elevator button? We're like, yes. He goes, a real one? Yes. And he said, I'm going to have to get an elevator for it. He said the exact same thing Bryce did.
It was so funny.
Oh, they're both so adorable.
Yes.
So that was really cute. And those were great gifts and definitely something that Bryce will always remember. And of course, now he's looking inside every elevator to see if it's an Otis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Brittany and Mr. Mike.
Yeah. So that was very cool. We went back to the battleship after the Otis tour. And then finally, it was time to cross the Ben Franklin Bridge into Philadelphia, which was really
our destination
for this whole trip.
Yeah.
So we made it over there that evening. We got to the hotel. We got to stay 3 nights at the new Philadelphia Element. Oh, and Bryce also, I should say, is researching and wants to know what year everything has been made. So anywhere from Nintendo games to appliances to hotels.
Airplanes.
You name the list. Yeah, he wants to know what year it was made. So we had to research it, and the Element was opened in 2021. So he was super excited that it was a very new hotel. And when we got there, they did have us a room on their top floor, which is the highest floor we've stayed on yet, which was the 35th floor. And we have to give a shout out to Michelle, who donated her hotel points for us to stay there for 3 nights, which was just the most amazing, generous gift.
It was the location. I mean, it was
perfect.
Off the chart.
Yes.
I mean,
it was right there
blessing.
In Center City and a great location. Walking distance to where we could get the subway to take down to the stadium, and everything was just great. So we got there that night, got settled into the room, and you know it, Bryce wanted to do a hotel tour of the big hotel. We did that, checked everything out. He wanted to know if they had a garage, and they did. It was 2 floors instead of 4 like DC, but he was really happy with that. So we kind of put a list together for the next day. I knew that the Eagles had a kickoff party, but I didn't know what that entailed. But I knew that's when we would have to go and get our packet, and that was like at 5 p.m. So you had this list of things that you wanted to do in Philadelphia, and we kind of had to prioritize them. And we let Bryce prioritize them, like what would be the most important thing to do in case we ran out of time.
Yeah.
And so 3 of the things that made it that day were the U.S. Mint, the church where George Washington went to church, which I can't remember the name of it. It was First something.
It was Christ.
Do you remember?
Christ Church?
Christ Church? Maybe First Christ Church or Christ Church?
Yep.
Yeah, and we went there, and then we went to, they had a submarine, the Baguna. I'm going to blow that name. I know it starts with a B. We just talked about it. Beluga.
Not beluga.
That's a whale.
That's a whale.
But I think it was. They named it after animals.
I don't think so.
He said they named it after animals.
It was not beluga. I would have remembered that. Let's just say it started with a B.
It wasn't baloney.
No.
I don't know. Anyway, it did start with a B.
Yeah.
And so that was a submarine, and next to it was another large ship of some sort.
Yeah.
And so the ticket included a tour of the submarine and the engine room down there. And then you could go over to the big ship and you could go on down into an engine room there. So that was your birthday that day. And you just, you're still dealing with the claustrophobic from the hyperbaric chamber, and you're like, I don't know if I want to go into a submarine.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might freak me out a little bit.
I've been in a sub before, and it's just really close
We
quarters.
did do it one other time.
It's just, I wanted to bow out that day.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to tell you, having gone in there, that was a good decision for you because there were several of us in there, and it was tight quarters.
Yeah.
And when we went down, first we were there, and he was just giving us all this information. I promise you, I thought that was going to be, I thought we were never going to leave that room. I thought, this is it? I mean, I think we were there at least 15 minutes or 20.
Yeah.
Felt like 2 hours. So finally he said, okay, well, we can move back here. And then you had to crawl through these little hole spaces to get to your next room, and then to your next room, and then to your next room. So
I couldn't imagine living on one of those.
no, me either. And we kind of talked about that, like the, service men and women, that do serve in there. They get extra pay because it's not as appealing as other things.
Yeah. They do give good food, though, right?
That's it. That's the one perk. Because there are not that many people on the boat, they get to eat the same food as the captains.
Okay.
So, yeah, they had their menu, and that is not what a typical lower level service person gets to eat.
Yeah.
But Bryce enjoyed it. I mean, and he loved taking the pictures and looking up at the holes in the top. So anyway, so we did that. And then when we got out of there, to my happy self, I don't know, to my enjoyment, and I'm being sarcastic, I got to do another engine room over on the ship. And so we went to the boat or the ship. They took us down in the engine room. At this point, I'm really tired of engine rooms, but I'm taking one for the team and for my boy. So, because again, he's enjoying it. I'm a boy mom. It's official. No more spa stuff on vacation. So we were down there, and
That's a little different.
It was a little different. I was trying to point out all these big wrenches and pictures to take. There were no salt scrubs or massages, but it's okay. So we got through that. And then I said, okay, are you ready? No, I want to see the ship. Okay. So we started going through all the rooms of the ship. We came out, and then I'm like, I think Daddy misses us. We better go see Daddy. So we came out and found you, and I think you got to enjoy some time under a hammock. They had a really nice setting down there by the water, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Like at a park area?
A hammock park where people could rest in hammocks. So I took advantage of that. I found a hammock. And so
it was a nice cool breeze that day.
It was,
I mean, the weather again was beautiful except Saturday.
Weather except for that one day.
Except for Saturday. Yeah. Oh.
Hello,
I hear Bryce.
You want to watch this busing ride? And
no, we can't do that right now.
Not right this minute.
We're doing our podcast, buddy. No.
But, okay, bye, Plessy. Can you show me that later?
Thanks, Bryce. Thank you.
Okay.
Close the door, please.
Thanks. I have been playing Bowser's Fury with him, and he knows I like Plessy, the dragon that we ride on. So anyway, that's what he was showing us.
Oh, okay. I
got to stay focused on the trip or I'll lose. This has been a few weeks, so I got to get this out on my brain. Okay, so that was the ship, and then we reconnected with you, and I think that was. Oh no! That was it for the day, because I think it had been a pretty long day, and we wanted to enjoy the hotel, and plus we wanted to get back before it was dark. So went back to our room, enjoyed that. Oh, wait, I take that back. That was the night that we went to the stadium. That's why we had to wrap up. So we went back to the room, and then we actually took Bryce's first subway ride down to the stadium. And boy, did he love that.
Yes.
So we thought that would be a hit. And I said to you, because I know you're kind of like, oh, I don't know, because I haven't been on the subway there in a really long time. And I don't know. We live down here in South Florida, so we see whatever the news media shows us. And so there's all these fears about going to big cities now because it's become so much more dangerous and there's more crime. And I'm sure there's a lot of truth to that. But I will say that while we were in Philadelphia staying there, I did not feel unsafe. Everything was okay. Yeah, and we didn't test it at night. So the subway was great. we took that down. There was a Phillies game that night, so there were a lot of people on the train dressed in their Phillies clothes and going to the game. So that was good. We walked over to the stadium, and I made it. I made it to Lincoln Financial Stadium with Bryce, which is something that I wasn't sure was ever going to happen. And
you had tears.
It happened, and I did cry a little bit.
Yeah.
I did. Once I was up there, and I was just taking it in. I did. I could still cry about that if I let myself. It was very, very sweet for me. And it was such a nice night. And we had such a great breeze. And so when we got there, we were walking up the steps, and the cheerleaders were staggered up the steps, greeting everybody and shaking their pom-poms. So Bryce sees their pom-poms, and he's just like fascinated, like, wow.
Yeah, like,
they were shiny. They were sparkly. They made noise. They were moving.
Yeah.
So I'm like, those are called pom-poms. And then the first cheerleader's like, she's like, do you want to touch one? So he touched, she's like, do you want to shake one? Yes. So he's shaking pom-poms. And I was kind of laughing inside, and I thought, okay, Chris, it's really okay. I know this is not the manly moment you were looking for your son at the football stadium, but he's liking the girls and he's liking the pom-poms. So
it was fine. It
was really cute.
Yeah.
But he was so fascinated with those. And I think the other cheerleaders saw that, and they were just like, oh, so he'd go one to the next one to the next
about 4 of them.
And I took his picture with a couple of them, and he was shaking all the different pom-poms. So he liked that. And then we got up there, and again, we didn't know what to expect.
They had food for us.
They had
that was
a
nice.
really nice
buffet
spread of
type
food
thing.
for us. They fed us Friday, and they fed us again Saturday, which was great. And
they had activities like spin the wheel, get a prize.
which Bryce loved that, and he won prizes.
So we got some prizes, and
We got a caricature drawing of him.
yep.
And so that'll be a special memory that we have. And what else did we do there? I know. So it was a little loud. It really wasn't bad on Friday night because not everybody that was participating in the walk was there. And if I were to take him to the stadium for the first time, that was ideal because it wasn't too overwhelming for him. And he had his headphones, so he felt protected with that. And we did get to see Swoop, the big eagle mascot, which I had told him about Swoop. So that was cool. But you said, let's go out into the stadium and sit down. And I think that was one of my favorite memories of the weekend. It was just the 3 of us. We went and picked out some seats as if it were game day.
We did the Eagles chant.
We did the Eagles chant, our EAGLES. Then there was a player down on the field getting interviewed, and you're like, "Go Eagles!" Totally interrupted it.
And he waved to us.
He did, and then you're like, "Oh, they're starting over." He had to start over his interview. But no, we were there and was like just taking it in and imagining that it was game day. And Bryce loved the seat because it goes up and down and up and down. And I just took a picture of his face. Like his eyes were so full of joy and this big smile because he was loving the chair. It didn't matter that it wasn't a game. It's like we were just sharing that space together. And he did know we were there for the Eagles, and he understood what that was all about.
Oh, and he saw the eagle in the seats.
Yes.
Painted on the seats in the stadium.
Yeah, so when the seats are folded up, somebody painted the outside of hundreds of seats so that it looks like an eagle's head, which was really cool.
And he noticed that.
Yeah,
we didn't even point it out.
No, he pointed it out to us. So that was really, really special night. Yeah. And so then that's when we wanted to leave and get back on the subway and get back to our room, before it was dark. But it was extremely great. We got our T-shirts for the day, but we actually made shirts, had shirts made that had our Parenting Autism logo on it. And then I took our puzzle logo and put the Eagles logo over that. And then we put the name of everybody who donated for our trip on the back. And it said Team Bryce. Really so that was really cool. So that's what we wore on Saturday. So then Saturday morning of all the days that it rained on vacation, it was Saturday.
It was Saturday.
And it was cold.
Yep.
I mean, it really had a chill
and Bryce,
between the
he
breeze
wasn't
and stuff.
feeling his best, and I thought, oh no, he's
he was
going to get sicker.
just starting to get better, and then we're taking him out in this cold rain. But I will tell you, he did not complain the entire
He was a trooper. He waited
time.
in lines. He
And at
did
one point
great.
he said, "Mommy, can we go in? Are you done having fun now?" Like he was doing it for me, and I know he was doing it for me, which made it extra special. He knew that this was a really special thing for me because he knows I'm probably the biggest Eagle fan in the house. We're all Eagles fans, but yes, I'm a little more loud about it. So it was really sweet. But the walk was great. We did a 5K sensory walk. So that one, it didn't feel like it was 5K. It went really quickly. But we just kind of walked near the stadium, and then we ended up in the stadium behind the scenes. Like we saw the locker room. We saw all these motivational pictures and signs that they have for the players.
In the tunnel, right?
Yeah. And then we came out the tunnel onto the field, which was really cool, to be able to do all of that. And we were standing there waiting for them to tell us it was our time to start because they had two other groups of participants with their race going before ours, I guess you said. Like the regular 5K.
The runners, yeah.
And then the runners.
And the bikers.
And the bicyclers, yeah. Bicyclists, I should say.
Yeah.
Which we saw Jason Kelsey riding on the bicycle, which is an Eagles player, so we were excited about that. But anyway, so we're standing there waiting, and I look over and I see our coach Sirianni, and I'm like, "Coach Sirianni!" And he just kind of looked at me with a smile like, "Yeah, thanks. You just called me out in the..." I was like, "So sorry." But I was excited, so I hope I didn't
Nobody knew he was there
Yeah,
until you said
at least
something.
nobody mobbed him. I mean, he was there with the stroller, like a family man, just blending in with everybody else. But the players, they put shirts on them that had their number on the
different from
back
ours,
and their
yeah.
name, so
Yeah.
that way we could identify, oh, that's a player. I mean, Jordan Mailata, you're going to know him because he's like 6'9". And
I'm
he really
glad they
stood
did
out.
that because a lot of people that were there were wearing just regular jerseys.
Yes.
So I'm glad the players weren't wearing their jerseys because, it might have been confusing for
Yes.
some people. And they had a black jersey on?
It was like black and gray.
And then, gray letters and gray numbers. Yeah. So it was really cool to point them out and see them. And,
Yeah. If we saw that, we're like, oh, there's a player. And then we could look and see who they were. And they were, the ones that participated, they were there voluntarily. They were so friendly, so great with Bryce. We got his pictures with a few of them. And then one of them, he got an autograph. And it was raining, so the ball was wet, and this ink smeared a little bit. So Bryce took the ball back, and he goes, "It's kind of messy." And the player just started laughing. He goes, "What's the rain?" And then he looked at me. He goes, "I love it. I love it." He's like, "Bryce, you want a picture?" But he was so sweet and kind about it. And so we have the ball with the messy signature on it. You found the VIP pass on the grass. So we were able to go over where the VIP players were.
Yep.
But again, it was so cold and it was so rainy. At this point, you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm over it.
Go, yeah.
It's cold. And
I was drenched.
You were drenched. We were all drenched. And it was cold. And the crowds were pretty large over there.
Yeah.
So I said, I was very close to getting one, like my first one over there. And I did get Bryce's picture with Maddox. And then that was it. I'm like, okay, that's good enough. Let's go.
Yep.
And we did. And it was fine. And we went back in the stadium and we were able to switch shirts because I had brought the extra shirts that they had given us the day before, which I'm so glad I did. So you guys were able to put on dry shirts. And then we had some food. We waited. And then the rain stopped to a point. But we asked Bryce, do you want to go ahead and go back on the subway to the hotel, or do you want to go on the field? And he said, I want to go on the field. So we're like, okay. So we went back down on the field and got our picture. We got our picture with this large, I don't know what you call it, like a photo prop. That's what I want to call it. Photo prop that had BRDS. And there was a space between B and RDS, but it looked like bros.
From a distance.
And so
it looked like bros.
Yeah, so you would come over and you go, they got a big photo prop over there that says bros.
I'm like, oh, maybe it's the city of brotherly love. Or,
Yeah, like we're trying. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
And then we see people standing, and there was a short line, so it was like a couple people. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, you want me to take your picture? Sure. You want us to take yours? Sure. So we go and we stand in between the B and the R, and I go back and I look at my camera to see how the picture looks. I'm like, it says birds. We're the eye for the eagles. That's our birds picture. So that's actually one of my favorites. The three of us being the eye and the bird. So it was a great note to leave on.
Funny.
It was a good laughter. We left, went back out the other tunnel, and took the subway back to the hotel. We had one more thing that you had on your list to do, which was to go visit this prison. And we wanted to see the Liberty Bell. So, and we wanted to do all this. Actually, you know what? I think on Saturday, I called it quits. We were cold. We were tired. We wanted to just join the hotel. I think all the momentum from the trip had just gotten through. Or maybe we did do that Saturday.
I don't remember.
Man, it's all blurring together. Well, here's what I know. We went to the prison, and then, but before that, we were going to try the Liberty Bell. Oh, you're right. We did do this on Saturday. We packed in another thing. I was tired. So we got all dry. We got ready. We go to the Liberty Bell, and you had heard that there's always a long line.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's raining today. It's kind of a crappy day. Maybe there won't be that many people there. So we go and we check it out, and there was a long line inside. You could see it. It wasn't coming out, but I did not want to stand on it.
It came out. It wrapped around the building.
That's right. So I didn't want to do it. So we're driving around, and I could see the Liberty Bell through the glass on the outside. I said, okay, I have a plan. So I want you to drop us off, and then I'll take Bryce around.
Yep.
And I will show him the Liberty Bell, and we'll take a picture of it. Oopsie.
That was my crutch. That's another story.
That's another story. So, yeah, so I said, I'll take the picture. Bryce will see it. I will make sure he sees it, and then we can check that box off. Okay.
I said, I've gone around the block enough times. I think I can do this.
Because this was like our third time.
I'll drop you off. You guys go see it, and then by the time I get back around, you'll be ready to get in the car.
So we get on. Bryce's like, what are we doing? I said, we're going to see Liberty Bell. Come on. So we go around the corner. Well, then there's Independence Hall right across the street. So I was like, wait a minute. We're going to get your picture with Independence Hall. What? Okay, you'll understand later. It'll be a history lesson. Take your picture. Smile. So then we turn around. There's a Liberty Bell. So we get our pictures. I'm like, okay, we're all done. So I text you, we're done. You're like, I'm still in line. Okay. So we went back to the spot. You picked us up, and we got to see both of those, and we were good.
Then we were on our way to the prison, I think.
Then we went to the prison, and that's when I really thought, man, my vacation agendas have changed so much. I'm going to this prison. What is this even about? And I hadn't told you this, but I thought we were going to like a real active prison.
Oh, no.
And I thought, who
they
does
don't give
it?
tours
Well, here's what I'm thinking in my brain. Who gives tours of a real prison? And who wants to take our 9-year-old son to a prison with orange jumpsuits? Like, I was like, what is this going to be? I honestly did not know. And I felt relieved.
So let me go back to the Liberty Bell a little bit. So we haven't really covered the Liberty Bell in school yet.
Right.
So it was just kind of like a bonus
we're there
visit to that, and we'll cover that later. But we told them a little bit about it. And then Bryce has always had the curiosity about what happens when you get arrested and you go to jail. What's jail about? How long do you stay there? You know, he's just, I don't know, he's been very inquisitive about that. So I saw that, and it was not far away at all, only a few miles. And I thought, you know, we don't need a tour. Let's just go in and check it out, and he can see what a prison cell looks like. Because, you know, I do want him to have that fear of, you know, hey, this is not a place I want to be.
It was effective.
So we got there, and the lady, and I thought there was some type of discount for homeschool teachers or something. And so she said the price. Do you remember how much it was? $20 each,
I think
something like that.
Yeah, 10 or 20 each. It was going to.
And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, do you guys have a homeschool rate? And she's like, oh, it's okay. You guys just go ahead. And like she let the three of us in for free, and I couldn't believe it. I was just so thankful. I mean, what a blessing.
It was.
And so we went in, and they give you headphones, and there's a recording, and you just press a button whenever you get to the next station, and then they tell you about the prison and
there were some interesting stories in there for sure.
Yeah, there was stories from the prisoners that they reenacted and stuff. But you know, it really, I don't know, we were there for an hour maybe. I mean, I really didn't want to be there as long as we were there, but it was very interesting.
It was.
And creepy, but I didn't like the creepy part.
But
we had a good parking spot, I'll say that. And so we accomplished that.
Yeah, it reminded me of when I went to Alcatraz. And it was creepy.
I would imagine it felt...
There's just a lot of... I don't know, you sense evil. Because that's what I sensed when I went to Alcatraz. I didn't sense it as much at this one. Maybe because it was more open and because we were in the city. Because Alcatraz is creepy because you're out there on that island and, you know, you're like picturing it. It was not good.
Yeah.
But we did that. But this is where we took the cab there to the prison, and that was the smelly cab ride.
No, we drove to the prison.
Well, then when we take the cab...
We got the parking spot at the prison across the street.
Why did we take a cab in Philly?
Was that to go to the Philly cheesesteak place? Or was that...
No, you drove to that.
No, we drove to that.
Oh, I know. When we went down to the Mint, to the U.S. Mint.
Oh,
we took a cab down there because that was a pretty good stretch. And then we walked after that.
We also took a cab down to the stadium on the day of the walk.
We did, but he was not smelly cab.
But that was not smelly cab.
No, he just took us so long. He was the speeder.
So smelly cab. So if you remember last episode... we talked about Bryce sitting on the very hard cab
His very
seat,
first ride was bad.
So it was bad, so we were all worried. Hi, Bryce.
Did you hear that?
Yes, we hear you.
We can hear it.
Here, I want to show you
Honey, should you be interrupting me right now?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry to do it.
We'll call you in a minute, okay?
We're almost done. We're going to call you in.
Yeah, we're going to call you in.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you for that little bit of time.
Okay. What do you want to show us?
Okay.
He's playing Bowser's Fury on his Switch.
Look at the cat climb. All right, is this going to take long?
Not long.
Okay.
Pardon our interruption.
Oh, you got the mushroom.
That's okay.
All
okay.
Right.
Thanks, Bryce.
That's good.
I need Bowser Jr. to go that way.
Bryce,
okay.
Honey, people are waiting.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Can you close the door?
We're going to talk about the smelly cab.
Yeah, close the door on their way out, okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, honey. All right, Bryce gave me permission to come back and restart the podcast. Okay, smelly cab.
Smelly cab. Okay. So... was it Philly? I guess it was Philly.
Yeah. It was definitely Philly on the way to the U.S. Mint.
So I'll do this in my best Middle Eastern accent.
Because he was from Middle East somewhere.
I don't know if he talked to us or not. But anyway, so we get in the cab.
He was very friendly, actually.
And there was this smell. Do you remember what kind of smell it was? I don't even know.
I really don't.
There was a smell outside.
Yes, it was outside.
Yes. And we got in the cab. And Bryce says... And the cabbie's like, "Oh, where are you going?" And where are you going? And we said to the U.S. Mint, and he says, "Okay, very good." And he typed in,
we got the
US
address,
Mint, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we got the address. And Bryce says, "There's a smell. Something smells." He says, and the cabbie immediately says. He opens the door to his center console and he's like, "I'm so sorry, I'm not prepared today." And he gets out this jar of cologne or perfume or something, and I can see it. There's no perfume left in it, right? It's empty, right? And he's like, he's trying to squirt it. He's like, "I'm so sorry, I don't do it what it is."
As he's going pump,
and so nothing's coming out. And so,
thank God, because I would have been choking.
So he pulls out into traffic, and we're going, and he's holding the jar of cologne in front of the vent. So the empty jar of cologne. in front of the vent in hopes that it would
Blow the
blow
scent
it
back
into
to
the
us.
bag, which there was none to be blown back. I tried to explain to him that it wasn't his cab, but I just, after a minute or two, I just, okay, let's just let it be funny then.
We did. And thankfully, Bryce did not mention the scent or smell
No.
anymore.
So, but the cabbie was all nervous, but we gave him a nice tip. So
We did.
yeah, he
It
probably
was-
thought he wasn't going to get a tip because his cab smelled.
Oh, no. We took care of him. It was
funny.
good. Oh, man. Well, that's about the end of our trip, man. That was a long one. And, yeah, we went back to Maryland the next day. Bryce and I rested in the hotel for the 5 hours that you went and hung out with your high school buddies. And it was nice. I think Bryce did a tour of that one. I did order him Domino's pizza because I really wasn't hungry and you were going to go eat with your friends.
Yeah.
So you're like, just order him Domino's, which we're so used to doing pickup and getting really good discounts. We did not get a great discount, but that's okay. So I paid $18 for this little gluten-free cheese pizza to come to the hotel for Bryce. And this is our 7th hotel on this trip, and I messed up our room number on the order. So I'm waiting for the pizza. It's been a while, and Bryce's like, "Where's my pizza, Mommy?" I don't know. It should be here soon. And I thought, where is that pizza? So I checked the status, and I look at it, and it says it's done. And it's like, how was your delivery? Or something like, how was my delivery? Where's my pizza? So I go and I look out the door, and I looked at the order and I saw I put the wrong room number. So I open my door, and as I'm opening it, I see the Domino's delivery guy walking back toward the elevator. And I said, "Excuse me, was that for room such and such?" And he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "I gave you the wrong room. I'm so sorry." And he had already put the pizza on the floor outside of that room.
Oh.
But thank God I opened the door exactly when I opened it, because I saw him, and then he picked up the pizza and brought it back down to me, and
Yeah.
Bryce got his pizza.
Oh my goodness.
That's
That
when
was a
I
close
knew
one.
that it was time for me to go home, because
Yeah.
too many hotel
Too many
rooms,
hotels.
too many hotel room numbers, and my brain was tired. But
But it was a great trip. I mean,
It was.
Bryce got to talk to the pilots on the way back, and it was a smooth trip back.
everything was great.
Yeah.
It really, really was.
Everything was
So, okay, we unloaded everything from our vacation. We've been home not quite a month. We've been home about 2 or 3 weeks now. We'll be coming back again here soon to kind of update you. I will tell you, just as a little prelude, we are in a big season of change. We, since we've been back from vacation, we've made some decisions to change Bryce's therapies, and we'll explain why. Since we come back from vacation, we got the hyperbaric chamber delivered to our house, and we'll be talking about that. Since we've come home, Chris had something removed from his foot today, so he is now back on crutches for another week. Bless your heart and foot.
It's
And then we just been having. We got a new BCBA assigned to Bryce's case this
was
week,
great.
who we have already fallen in
talk
love
about
with.
her.
So we'll talk about that, and we got plenty more to talk about. All right, everybody, have a good week. Bye.
Bye.